My friends, I speak to you today not merely as a voice from the past, but as an eternal warning, a sentinel against the forces that, in my time and in yours, would place personal gain above the common good. I once said in the early days of 1941 that we must especially beware of that small group of selfish men who would clip the wings of the American eagle in order to feather their own nests. And I say it again today with no less urgency. You see, I knew those men. I knew them well. They were the ones who, while the world trembled on the brink of catastrophe, whispered in dark corners that America should stay out of it because they had made fortunes off the suffering of others. They were the ones who opposed my New Deal, not because they doubted its necessity, but because they feared its success would mean the end of their unchecked dominance. They were the ones who, when the American people struggled to put food on the table, sought to break unions, to hoard profits, to keep their hands on the levers of power at the expense of the working man. That was my time. Now let us look at yours. Today, those same men, or at least their descendants in both blood and spirit, have learned new tricks, but their aim remains the same. They do not clip the wings of the American eagle with bayonets or chains. No, they use legislation, they use media, they use misinformation. They convince you that government cannot be trusted, except when it serves their interests. They tell you that the economy cannot afford to support the sick, the elderly, or the struggling worker. But there always seems to be enough in the Treasury to cut taxes for the richest among us. They wave the flag in one hand while selling out American labor to foreign interests with the other. And I ask you, who benefits? During my presidency, we faced an information war of our own. Propaganda from abroad sought to turn Americans against one another, to make us doubt our allies, to make us question whether democracy itself was worth fighting for. Today, that war has only grown more insidious. Now the battlefield is digital, and the weapons are algorithms. The enemy is no longer just foreign powers, but also the powerful within our own borders who twist facts, who flood the airwaves and internet with deception, who prey on fear to keep us divided. You must ask yourselves, my friends, when you hear voices tell you that the government is your enemy, when you are told that regulation is a threat to freedom, but corporate monopolies are not, when you are convinced to turn against your fellow citizens instead of those who exploit you, who benefits? This, my fellow Americans, is the great battle of your time, the battle for truth. You must arm yourselves with knowledge, with discernment, with courage. Do not be swayed by those who promise you prosperity while stealing from your pockets. Do not allow yourself to be made a pawn in a game played by the wealthiest few. Demand accountability. Demand fairness. Demand a government that serves the many, not just the privileged few. And remember this. Democracy is only as strong as the people who fight for it. It is not something handed down from on high, but something that must be defended again and again by each generation. The small group of selfish men who seek to exploit you have always been there, and they always will be. But so too will be those who stand against them. Will you stand? If you would know more, if you would take up the fight in this modern information war, then I tell you, visit information-warfare.com. Arm yourself. The battle is not lost. The future is still ours to shape. Now, as ever, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.